feel it's a big honor today to address you and to welcome you all to the 10th Ghana CEO Summit. Our headline purpose for this year is the Ghana Global Business Champion Agenda. What are we doing for every sector of the economy to have Ghanaian multinational icons? And that is the next agenda for the CEOs Network. Last year, when the president addressed us in his closing remarks, he suggested that the Ghana CEO Summit should look at creating a compact that will be beneficial when it comes to engaging public and private sector. The question is, how do we organize the fronts of the private sector so that we can, as a unified council, engage the governments and, for that matter, cabinets? Mr. President, thank you so much for that great idea you gave us last year. And that is a highlight of today's program.
Over the years, this summit has evolved into one of the country's most influential platforms for dialogue between government and the private sector. I have personally witnessed this evolution through my continued participation across different periods of my public service. And what has remained constant is the conviction that Ghana's future depends on a strong and confident private sector working alongside a responsive and reform-minded state. And so let this 10th Ghana CEO Summit deepen the partnership between government and business. Let it move us from dialogue to delivery, from policy to production, and from production to better lives for our people. And so on that note, and in the spirit of partnership between government and business, I have the honor and privilege to formally launch the CEO Government Compact 2026.
CEOs must not endeavor or desire to enrich themselves at the expense of their companies. Whenever there is conflict of interest, the desired outcomes are never attainable. While we expect government to provide the soundest environment, we also must demonstrate unwavering commitment to the objectives of our companies and therefore for the purposes to which we are appointed.
Policies do not implement themselves. Institutions do not reform by decree. It takes leadership in government and in boardrooms that is willing to make difficult decisions, hold itself accountable, and stay the course. The CEO Government Compact 2026 is an expression of that kind of leadership, a structured commitment to shared accountability between government and business for measurable national outcomes.
An ID system is not about cards. It's about infrastructure that is needed for the future, and we must treat it as such. As we contemplate the digital economy and the various parts of it that it makes up, in order to ensure that Ghana is ready for the future.
Commodity price volatility, supply chain disruptions, and financial market uncertainty. These continue to pose risks, particularly for emerging economies such as ours. And this is why the Bank of Ghana remains firmly committed to a forward-looking and data-dependent monetary policy framework.
Are we content with merely participating in the global economy, or we are prepared to build the African or Ghanaian institutions, enterprises, and business champions capable of competing globally while transforming our economies locally?
In Ghana, we tend to talk about tax administration as a zero-sum question between the state and the taxpayer. In 2026, we are focused to raise 225 billion. We believe that this minimum target is achievable, and we crave on all of you to support us. So this is not a bet. This is the work we must do, and that is the partnership we are asking each of you this morning to forge with us so that together we can embrace collectively the responsibility of honoring our tax obligations to mobilize revenue for our collective national development.
If we're serious about transforming our economy and serious about creating jobs, then government and the private sector urgently need to work together with purpose and with intentionality and in a formal structure.
Africa is split into two, halfway. Half of the continent's countries are middle income, either upper middle income or lower middle income. And it means that what is happening in Ghana is also happening. Now, if you lose concessional financing and grants, then as we did, you go to the capital markets, to borrow. When you go to the capital markets to borrow, you must be ready with the structures.
Let me say that there have been exciting and tough times, but the future looks bright. It is for this reason that today's gathering is critical to the country's quest to transition from lower middle income to an upper middle income ahead of the projected 2038 target.
We have learned that world-class manufacturing is not built by speeches alone. It is built by standards, discipline, machines, workers, maintenance, logistics, finance, leadership, and trust.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 24-hour program is a product of a national vision that emerged from dialogues such as this, which reflected on both the potential of our national economy and its structural challenges and how to overcome these.
Looking at the diverse way of businesses in Ghana, we are not aggressive enough and we are not focused enough as indigenous Ghanaians.
The days are over when you could be comfortable, because on the global scale, there's no excuses. There's no who you know. It's international standards, and it's the same standards for everyone.
And I think that as GIPC goes out to look out for investors, there's a catchment in the room in Ghana. And I'm sure when they have the right environment, they would scale their investments in the country.
We are announcing today the launch of the CNBC Africa Ghana Bureau. The Bureau will produce live economic and business news content from Accra, reporting on Ghana, into Ghana, and from Ghana into the rest of the continent, and then into the rest of the world.
Now, if we are to produce leaders, we are to be producing those who have the capacity to think, and not just think, but also sometimes think outside of the box.
We must build institutions capable of creating across generations, across industries, and increasingly across borders.
The commercial banks are not able to finance more than $1 million. And the international investors are also not able to finance less than $5 million. So those who operate between $1 million to $5 million, who comes in to help them?
The most sustainable way to protect what must remain in Ghana is through infrastructure which is designed, managed, and secured here at home.
So the intellectual capital building is extremely important if you want to really move up and scale as an MNC moving from Ghana.
The African Continental Free Trade Area and initiatives such as the 24-hour economy are opening the possibility of deeper trade, stronger value chain, and larger markets.
Insurance has two economic purposes. The first purpose is to protect the assets, which is the usual way of understanding insurance.
Globally, the automotive industry is transitioning from internal combustion engines, gasoline and diesel, to electrification.
We've gotten to a point where globally, if you have a business in whatever sector you find yourself, if you are not leveraging AI, you are going to be completely outdone by your competitors that are leveraging AI.
When you are in a democratic state and you have, young people, and you have a population that's growing, that has a lot of expectations. Every government is confronted with finding a balance.
Right from 1960, we had over 300 industries, producing almost everything that we needed in Ghana. Way back to 2000, we have stopped producing, and then we are rather importing.
Collecting a license fee or spectrum fee upfront is well and good to support government developmental agenda. But we need to balance it with the long-term benefit that will accrue to the society.